All right, guys, welcome everybody to our movement leadership call. Remember, it's the first Thursday of every month, so put it on your calendar, 9:30 Eastern time. Every single, the beginning of the month, we're gonna work on just different skills. We actually have a very, very special call this month that Jen Johnson and Andy, her husband, have decided to pair up with Mike and I to do next Tuesday night at 9:30 on family and foundations and how we build that into Q. So make sure if you haven't seen that graphic, make sure you check that out in the event section in the movement page. Also remember, guys, if you're having trouble finding anything, all you have to do is go to the albums. There's a picture and a graphic for each section, and all calls and recordings are posted under there, as well as there's an event in the events for every single call. So just make sure you check there if you ever have any questions. And I get a lot of questions about the accountability calls. If you guys, there's a post still for the accountability call in the movement page. The recording from today is posted there. It's your last chance to get in, to send me those numbers. That group will be quietly to set up this weekend while I'm traveling, and the people that have been giving me their numbers will be in there, and then it's cut off until we open it again in May. So that recording is posted in that same thread. So you send me those numbers. Please watch the video before you send those numbers, because there were some issues in there with what people were sending me, and I clarified all of that. So tonight, this is really exciting. We get to bring Mike on. He's got a really awesome presentation for you guys. And so he's gonna be talking about support. So if you have your husband there, if you have your wife there, if you have any other family there that support you guys, you're gonna want them here with you right now, because Mike's gonna kind of share from his perspective of what this has been like for him, especially from the skeptic side. And so this is being recorded for those of you who don't have your partner on, so you can share it after. But if you can get them on, go ahead, send them that Zoom link and they can jump on at any time. So I'm gonna turn it over to my husband, Mike. He's an Emerald Ambassador here, also on the VP of Sales. He's also, I'm gonna let Mike talk about his corporate position, but he does work in corporate America, and he still holds that job while we have our 3 kids. So he's gonna talk about all of those things while how we grow this business. So Mike. He's in the office downstairs, so.
All right. Hi, everybody. Is this, you hear me okay? And I'm on? Perfect. So we're going to jump right in for a couple of reasons. First off, I know we're recording, so if anyone's jumping on late, they can always replay this and see anything that they might have missed. And the second reason is I know that I have a captive audience, and by captive, I can only imagine with some of the cameras turned off that some of you are probably duct taped to a chair and forced to watch this. So I'm going to try to make this.
I'm interrupting you because I won't be able to watch this. Back away from your camera. By the way, you guys, this is how we work. Okay, I can see it.
Close.
I see up your nose, and I won't be able to take you seriously, and I'm pretty sure other people can. By the way, this is our real life. Okay, I'm going back to muting myself, but I just couldn't. I couldn't.
Real life. Okay, if there's no more interruptions, we can go ahead and get started with this. So I'm going to share my screen here. I don't want to share. Is that working? All right. I see some head nodding, so looks like we are good to go. So as Tara mentioned, I am on the VP of Sales, and Tara, as you know, is a board certified health and wellness coach and an Emerald Ambassador with Q Sciences. And I was approached quite often at the last convention and also through social media from folks asking, especially the partners of the business builder, and how we run our business together as a couple, and how I'm able to support, and what that transition looks like. As Tara mentioned, I do have a pretty high and demanding job. I feel like it's more than full-time in a lot of ways. I've worked in retail for over 25 years, and in corporate investigations, and currently overseeing distribution centers for a well-known, high-profile prestige beauty company. So I do have that going on. So it has been a challenge at times to find ways to support this business and support Tara in growing this business. and working network marketing, but I am going to talk a little bit about what that transition looks like. So everything you're about to hear is from my perspective. I think that it's going to be relatable to a lot of folks that are on this call. So we're going to go ahead and jump in and talk about who exactly is this for. So this is not for the business builder themselves, but more geared towards their partner and understanding how they can support the business and how they can transition, especially if they're working a full-time job or multiple jobs, how they can transition into being a better support in this MLM network marketing business. The only thing that I ask is for those that may be watching with their partner, if you can refrain from the elbows and the kicking in the shins and all of that, because that's going to be counterproductive to what we're trying to accomplish here. So I would appreciate that. So our first group that I want to take a look at is the skeptic. These are the folks that feel that this could be a scam. These are folks that maybe have tried MLMs or tried other network marketing businesses in the past, maybe flipping houses, maybe shucking oysters and selling pearls on those live Facebook feeds that I used to see all the time that I kind of see less of. Maybe folks have tried that. But the human brain is conditioned for us to stay in a routine. And so part of that is from self-preservation. So the brain is saying, you know, so far we've done things that have not killed us. So can we continue to do things that are not killing us? That would be great. So that is something that we need to overcome and part of that skeptic mentality. The other parts of that, maybe not seeing the money, maybe not have seen the comp plan. So if you have not seen the comp plan, I would highly recommend that you do that and have your business partner explain that to you, because I think some of that may open your eyes a little bit. We don't have the time and we don't have the money. A lot of MLMs and a lot of network marketing, you have to have a lot of upfront money and funding to be able to get into those. And this is definitely not one of those types of MLM businesses. The other folks that I wanted to talk about as I scroll through slides here, for no apparent reason, is the almost there. So these are the folks that maybe you've been to one of the conventions, or maybe you've caught the vision by something you've heard, or your partner's enthusiasm behind the business. So you see the vision, you want to participate, but you don't really know how. So these are the folks that want to help. They may be a little bit overwhelmed or unsure. There's a lot of products. You don't have to know everything about all the products. You don't have to know everything about how to launch somebody. Those are all things that you can learn. But the biggest thing is to take those first steps to become involved in it. I can't find the time, so we see that as being a repetitive thing. I can very much vouch for that being a challenge, and it continues to be a challenge. I'm not saying that I've mastered being able to find time for everything. I mean, we were switching banks over and doing a lot of other crazy stuff on top of this business and my full-time job, which is very, very demanding. And so being able to flex and find time to be able to do those things as well as supporting the business can be a challenge, but I'm here to tell you that it can be done, and it is still a challenge for me. So hopefully that makes people feel a little bit better about their own time management skills and skill set there. Folks may be embarrassed to jump in. They may feel out of place. And for a lot of the men out there, this company is very much driven by females. I mean, there's a huge population of females that are running this business. Our top producers are females, and that can be intimidating, or it could make you feel embarrassed. And I'm here to tell you that it doesn't have to be that way. And for those of you that are on this call and those that are making the move to try and be a support function or potentially become one of the business builders, you can definitely make a difference and change that. By being part of this call, you're already taking those steps to do that. So wanted to talk about my specific support journey, and to be able to do that, I wanted to give you guys a little bit of a backstory. I know some of you have heard this from Tara. For any of the folks that are not the business builders that are listening in, you may be hearing this for the first time, but I think it's really important to kind of go over this so that you can understand where my journey was and how I ended up where I am currently within the business. So my MLM support journey began when we were experiencing health and behavioral issues with our oldest son, and he's pictured there on the left. Tara researched tirelessly to find various different alternative treatments to be able to support his health and his behavior, trying to, if we could, avoid medication as much as possible, and being able to support him and make sure he had the right things to thrive and be healthy. At the same time, we were welcoming our number 2 child, and he's the crazy that's hanging upside down with me. He was born with an extremely rare heart condition. So it was a heart condition that on itself was uncommon, but he had an even more rare type of it. Wolff Parkinson's White, and it's a extra electrical vessel that comes off of his heart, and his was actually on the opposite side than what everyone's ever seen before. And so we were driving him to Delaware to see specialists in cardiology, and to kind of put a bow on this. Between the two of them, we amassed a ton of medical debt. We, to the tune at the worst part of everything, we were significantly piled on with credit card debt. And when I say significantly, it was over $100,000. And we felt alone. Tara's mentioned it before when other folks were talking about, money problems and being in debt. And they would, well, we have $5,000 of credit card debt. We had over $100,000 in credit card debt, and it wasn't from being frivolous. It was just from trying to keep our family healthy. So I had taken out as many loans as possible. On top of that, we had all the regular things that most people have, mortgages and car payments and things like that. Within this journey, and the ironic piece of this is the debt that we had piled on from trying to become healthy actually led Tara to finding some products that helped our son. And with that, kind of fell into a business at the same time. So we come full circle with that, and really excited to say that after being with Q for a year, we've actually wiped out that debt entirely. And it's I can't say enough about financial illness and how much it's taken a toll on us, especially at the time, taking a toll on our family, and being able to be relieved of that. I mean, it feels like really being born again. It's a second rebirth for our family and an opportunity for us. So with that, I obviously had seen an incredible opportunity with network marketing and with this company specifically. But my first obstacle was to get through and around my pride. And this is something that I think a lot of folks hopefully can relate to. I mean, this was really the purpose of this call, was to try and relate to some folks that may have this as a big obstacle. As growing up as a man, you're kind of ingrained with the thought process that you are going to be the breadwinner and the provider. Your responsibility is to care for, protect, and provide for your family. And I remember growing up watching my father go off to work, and when our family grew and his income wasn't enough to support us, what he did was he went out and he got another job. So now he's working 2 jobs. And so with my own family, when I saw our family growing and me not being able to support them in the debt that we had acquired, I really felt like a failure. In my corporate position, I was promoted multiple times, but I just could not keep up with the amount of debt that we were incurring in all of our expenses. So it was really, really frustrating. Tara at this point was working another job, and she was looking to health coach on the side because it offered her the opportunity to do that at night, off hours when the kids were asleep. And she was looking at health coaching in other countries to have that, the time difference there to be able to do that. So I really felt defeated. But Tara took me along on this journey, so she never stopped developing herself. I took a notice to it and started picking up some of the Audible books that we share an iTunes account. And so I started seeing all the, development books that were dropping in there, and I was traveling a lot at the same time. So I was picking up some of those Audible books and listening in, and really started motivating myself that there was a better way and there was a better life around, finding something different and going against what has been the norm and what we've been accustomed to and what was routine. So it wasn't easy to get around my pride, but once I did, I think the next steps became tremendously easier. So this is why I mentioned this is really the first step. So if anyone is faced with this as an obstacle, you've got to find your way around it, or maybe even through it, to be able to find a way to move on and help support the business. So pride really has no place on the road to a happy family. I love this quote. Being a part of the success is so much better than being apart from the success. And this is written by, a well-known person that I try and model myself after and listen to every day, and it's me. I'm just kidding. I thought of this quote and I thought it was kind of clever, and true story, I Googled it just to make sure that I hadn't overheard it or seen it somewhere, and it turns out that it doesn't exist, so I have copyrighted this, but you guys can use it if you want. Where was I in this? I got totally sidetracked being impressed with myself and my fun little thing. So if you were to look at some of the higher ranked ambassadors, you would see that it's a team effort, and this is really the message that I want to drive. It doesn't mean that they're both the builder, but they do both understand and support the business in different ways. Yeah, you can probably see who the business builder is, and you can probably tell by what they train and how they interact and some of the advice that they give. But you know that everybody is involved in that business. It's a family business because it's a business for families. And this call is all about supporting the business. And Frank Filipponi did an amazing training at the last Bronze Academy, and he talked about being the support function, and it was titled, I'm not the business builder, so what? And his whole message is you can be a support, and it tremendously grows the business by being there. And it's not this person's doing one thing and I'm doing something else, and it's not about a lesser or a greater of the two. Combined, it's a team effort, and that's really what this is all about. So here's a couple of statements that came to mind when I started working through, not being the breadwinner and trying to get over the pride. Is why bring your negativity into this business? Is it just for the satisfaction of saying I told you so when it fails? And that really hit home when I started evaluating, because this wasn't the first network marketing business that Tara was involved in, and she had worked very, very hard in the previous ones, and in some she fought tooth and nail to not slide backwards, and those comp plans and the products and things like that just didn't happen to be a good fit for us, especially at the right time for us. And so when I started looking at the businesses, I started thinking, is it that I'm wanting this to fail so we can do something else? And so when we ended up at Q and she said, I really want to do this, I had to, dig in and say, I am all in with this and give it 100% support. And it was important to do that because she deserves to give it 100% try. The other thing that comes to mind is that you could still be the breadwinner by working the business together. And again, it's not this person's doing one thing and someone else is doing something lesser. It's working it together, and it's important to do that. So where can someone start? So once someone catches the vision and is in for the long haul and understands that this can be a great opportunity, it can be a little challenging to figure out where your place is. And this is the question I get asked a lot. I actually reached out to a few different mentors within Q to understand, well, how did you transition out of your full-time job, or how were you able to supplement this into a full-time job? Because it's tough to be, like I said, be able to find the time and the compromises and be able to still do your work travel and all of those other things. Communication is the very, very first step, in my opinion. And again, this is my opinion. Visions and goals, understanding where you are and where your partner wants to be as well. I mean, it's very, very important. Is it that you want to hit a certain rank on the comp plan? Have you seen the comp plan? Do you know what all that entails? Do you guys have a vision for where you want to be by the end of the year? Spend a few minutes going over the comp plan to better understand what the business can do for you and your family financially. You may want to put together a plan of, you know, when we hit a certain rank, we will end up getting help via a nanny or a housekeeper or something else to add another level of support to that. So now, not only do you have two people that are actively, you know, supporting the business, but now you're bringing in a third party that you can fund from your business to be able to grow that business even more. And it just exponentially grows in that fashion. Make sure that you talk about financial freedom movement together. The debt that you want to start paying off, I can tell you that it's much more motivating when you see debt being reduced or when you see retirement starting to grow. So have that talk about where do we want to see, you know, our financial freedom money being moved to. And it's easy to get motivated and to stay motivated by doing that. Is there time, effort, and expectations? Understanding the rewards for the work and can keep you from resenting the sacrifices that you make to get there. I can tell you that between Tara and I, we've made a ton of sacrifices, and at the same time, we know that they're not forever. I mean, there's nights when days that we barely see each other, and it's because we're both taking on responsibilities to make sure that our family is running as well as our business and my full-time job. So it's a lot, but we know that we're getting to the point where it's getting slightly easier because you have the additional support. Tara we didn't have a nanny until she went platinum. So we went a long way without that additional support. So it was a lot in the initial, and it's gotten slightly easier from the standpoint of some of those things that we're taking away from the quality time with our kids, the washing the dishes, the doing the laundry, those types of things. We're now able to work really hard still, and the kids know and see us working hard, but they also know that they get the cuddle time, which is way more valuable to me than washing dishes. So there's some things that you should talk about and have goals and strive towards. And you can only do that by having those talks, and also making sure that your goals and your expectations are realistic. If you want to hit a rank, say, of a platinum, to expect to be able to do that by squirreling away a few minutes here and there, that's not realistic from the standpoint of growing that business, or from the expectation that your partner may have in you being able to achieve that. So something else to keep in mind. And again, like making sure you have the right visions and goals and you both understand what that is keeps you guys rowing in the same direction. Tara at one point talked about her vision with me, and it to me was so crystal clear that when she was done expressing, like, this is where I want to be and this is what I see in our future, I could absolutely see it and I could picture myself there. And we were aligned and in tune with what we needed to do and what we needed to accomplish to get there. Schedules. This one is huge. Is there any travel coming up? Who's taking little Johnny to soccer practice on Sunday? All of those things. Nothing will cause problems faster than not being on the same page with schedules. I can speak from experience. If Tara reminds me, hey, I'm traveling next Thursday, and I'm like, what a coincidence, I am too. And then I have to figure out, put a water bowl out for the kids and some old Halloween candy or something and keep them alive until we get back on Friday. But in all seriousness, we need to make sure that we're on the same page and knowing what each other has coming up. And there are some compromises, and we need to shift some priorities to be able to maintain that balance and be able to get everything done that we need to do. Launch calls, opportunity calls, all of those are money in your pocket. If you're not allowing time for those to happen, you're really hurting the business. So go out for coffee once a week and talk about what you have coming up. Keep each other informed on changes and developments that impact schedules, and be respectful and fair. Utilize planners or technology to be able to track schedules and keep them up to date. Protecting family time, and this is another really big one. In fact, this is one of the 3 things that both Mark and Jake talk about a lot when they talk about their Q business is, you have your spirituality, you have your family, and you have the Q business. And family comes before the business. We protect Sundays. The kids know that on Sundays, phones are down and they have our full attention. We like to do family outings. We like to play board games and things like that. The reason this is really important, outside of just it's nice to be around your family and be together as a family. The reason this is important is they see all the hard work. You don't want them to resent that hard work by looking at you and saying you guys are working all the time and they don't reap the benefits from that. We like to, one of the things that we did when we hit certain ranks, we told them, hey, when we hit gold or when we hit platinum, we're going to go on this vacation and we're going to celebrate with you guys. And I want you guys to know that because mommy and daddy have been working so hard and taking time away from you guys, we're able to have this vacation that we're going to have, and you're going to have all of our attention. It's going to be the best thing ever. That gets them on board with that. It gets them to understand when we have calls and when we have to go to meetings and when we have to travel, and they understand it, and they actually start getting excited about it because they know that we're that much closer to doing something really cool as a family because of it. So here is a huge piece of advice for anybody that is still kind of lost in where they might fit in the next steps in supporting the business. And I would say, and you should write this down, is what is the one thing that I can do? So this is what you're going to do as that partner that's going to be supporting the business, the person that's going to be supporting the person that's running the business. You're going to ask them, what is the one thing that I can do to help you with this business? This is going to encourage them to strategically think about what that one thing is going to be. So automatically that puts the business in the right direction, because it's going to have to take some strategy to figure out, well, let me see, what is the one thing that's going to be the best use of our time and give us the best ROI. The other thing is it will help keep you from being overwhelmed. So that's big, because there's a lot of things that you can do. So it's going to help narrow that down to a one thing. And it's going to allow you to master that thing and make it part of your regimen. And then you can actually add layers on. I can give you an example of this. So I had taken on bedtime. That was the one thing out of the box that I could see as being the biggest benefit for us. And I'm sure Tara would agree with this, because it allowed her the opportunity to schedule those calls at night and have those undisturbed time to be able to do that. It allowed her to have the three-way calls for third-party validation, the launch calls, opportunity calls, all of that, because it all grows and drives the business. As well as developing leaders, which also, obviously grows the business exponentially. Soon after that, my one thing became making dinner for the family. This allowed Tara to prep for calls that were going to be happening later on that evening, promote the calls, drive the business through social media. Then I became the homework warden, learned a little bit of Common Core math, unfortunately, that I have to unlearn. But that's one of the, benefits of doing that. And then once that became second nature, the one thing ended up being the morning routine. So this allowed Tara, after she worked so late at night, to be able to recharge and not have to get up at 6:30, 7 o'clock in the morning to get the kids ready and out the door. So this entailed getting everyone dressed and lunches packed and snacks and all of that. And now we have a nanny that can actually assist with some of that, especially at the later part of the day. And so that allows me to actually take on more things. So you can see how it kind of snowballs into a really supportive environment to help grow the business. So I've got a couple of breakouts of some other things that you can do to help, and I've broken these out by, this is family, and if you don't have kids, it's couples. taking ownership of the kids' routines, bedtime and school. If you don't have kids, it can be other things. Similar to that, you can tuck your significant other in bed, I guess. I don't. You can run errands. So this is a big one too, and I plan to get more involved in this as my work schedule gets a little bit more flexible, is being able to just run out and do a grocery run. So Tara's not doing that, you know, and checking out and doing a three-way call at the same time. Meal prep, and even if you don't have kids, this is huge. It's great to be able to just grab a meal that's either ready to go or it can be warmed up quickly. You know, I try to bring Tara food in when I know she's got some back-to-back calls, or run and grab coffee. That helps quite a bit. Remind her that you appreciate her and support what she's doing. And this is, you know, actions speak louder than words, but sometimes words are really impactful too. Tell her that you appreciate all the hard work that you see, that you know that, you know, the rewards are coming, to keep her motivated and keep her engaged. And the big thing here, stop keeping score. Because guess what? No matter what I take on and what I have on my plate, when I go and travel, it's all on Tara to do, right? So it's not about, you know, I'm doing more than you're doing, or she's doing more than I'm doing. You know, it's about trying to divide and conquer, and it's not a competition. We're all on the same team working together. From a business standpoint, be a product of the product. So if you're supporting the business, there's probably no better way than to have your own testimony and be able to talk about the products and do it in a genuine fashion. You really don't need to know a lot about the products. If what you're taking is working for you, you can talk about the benefits and how they make you feel. Provide prospects. Everybody has coworkers, friends, family, relatives that they talk to on occasion, hopefully. And so to be able to strike up those conversations and know at what point to turn those over to your business builder to be able to close those. Attend calls and events. This kind of keeps you in tune with what's going on, keeps you on the same page as your partner. Attending calls to kind of listen in and learn some things, and attending events so that you can stick with that vision. You can stay motivated. You can interact with other folks that are also supporting the business in different ways and get some other ideas. And then ask about the business and take interest. You know, I'm always asking you where we are with points, and, you know, it just keeps us both, you know, excited about the business. And, you know, Tara will tell me, you know, when she's hit a rank, you know, earlier in the month than the month before, and I get excited because I know that we're on a path to rank up again. And so, you know, we both get excited together and we share it with the kids. And so those are the types of things that kind of keep us both motivated and on the same page. So, and with that, I think I'm through the slides. I don't know. I'm sure that I missed some things, but I can tell you this. This is really just kind of the first call on the support from my perspective and what I'm trying to do. I actually broke this out into several different categories, and so we'll make this a series where I jump on again and talk about a few more things and perhaps give an update on some additional supportive measures that I'm taking. I'm really trying to get more involved in the business piece. So as I transition from support more hands-on into the business, like that's going to look a little bit different, especially by continuing to work the job that I'm in at the same time. At some point, I can tell you this, Tara is going to end up retiring me, and then we're both full bore into the business together, holding hands. Until then, you know, it's always going to be a balance, and balance is critical. And having that downtime and time together to be able to celebrate and not be resentful of the sacrifices and the hardships of the business. So with that, I think I'm done. And Tara, I don't know if you have anything else you wanted to add to anything I said.
You stopped sharing your screen. There you go. Actually, I kind of want to open it up if anybody wants to ask any specific questions to Mike while he's on. I know we ran just a tad over, but I do want to open it up to questions if anyone has something that they may want to ask him since he's here. Just go ahead and unmute yourself. and nobody wants to unmute themselves. Apparently they're scared of you, Mike.
Well, I see a bunch of chat things. Am I missing anything in here?
No, they're just talking about a lot of things. I had the chat muted by accident, so I turned it on and then people started talking. They loved you. I got lots of texts too because my team's awesome. So I hope you guys like this. I hope you guys are going to obviously hear more. He actually, as making his slides, was like, this is too much. And so he's like, well, we'll break it out. Again, next Tuesday night, 9:30, Mike and I and Jen Johnson and Andy Johnson will be on. We're going to talk more about foundations and family and finding that balance and cue when we build. And you know, someone just said, Mike sounds like a very supportive spouse. Mike, has it always been that way?
The way you kicked that over to me seems loaded. No,
not to be loaded, but you didn't really talk too much about how you used to behave, but maybe you could kind of talk about the transition and when that happened. What happened?
Yeah. We're getting into this. Yeah, so I can talk. So supportive in the sense of, yes, I've always said, you know, Tara can do whatever she puts her mind to. So it's not so much like I don't think she can do something, but what I can tell you is in a previous MLM, the amount of time and the amount of effort that I saw her putting in, and even in a lot of ways where it wasn't reciprocated or appreciated, was frustrating, I guess, to me. And I started taking a real negative approach to anything that had to do with that business. So I can definitely say there were times when, you know, she'd say, well, I have to go take a call. And I'm like, you're always on a call. And you know, and the money just wasn't, not that money is everything, but at the time when we were struggling, and seeing that her time was being taken away, and I was feeling like I was left with a lot of burden, and I can say that I was not the best communicator. And so we didn't talk about what those things were. She would just say, hey, I've got a call in 15 minutes. And I would just like basically explode because I'm like, well, I'm you know, buried in work myself, and I've got the kids, and, you know, we got to do nighttime and all that stuff. So yeah, it hasn't always been that way, but at some point I saw the light. It's way more fun working together than working apart. I can say that I've learned to appreciate all the sacrifices that she's made for me in my career. So I've moved our family 3 different times for my career. And like I had said at convention, you know, it's time to reciprocate that and give back. And not to say that I haven't been 100% supportive, but ever since Q, you know, I definitely saw the opportunity, and the family feeling of the business is another thing that I really appreciate. And so it's just a lot easier to support it.
Thank you for being honest. It's important for people to realize that it's not always, it's always a journey, and you kind of learn as you go, and we're still learning as we go. Don't think there's not moments where I'll look at him and be like, really? And then he'll.
That's the look.
It is. Really? Is this what we're going to talk about right now? And so anyway, all right, you guys, thank you guys so much for sharing your evening with us. I will post this recording, and make sure you guys put Tuesday night on your call. If you're in Colorado this weekend and you have any potentials in Colorado, please make sure you send them my way, and I know who's coming if you're not going to be there locally. Otherwise, I'll see you guys all that are going to be in Colorado. I'll see you guys on Saturday. And if you need me to get in front of any of your people while I'm there, make sure you send me a message. All right, you guys, have a great night.
Thanks, everybody.